Morning class. In the previous video we did types of migration, and today we're going to study about the impacts of migration. Of course, we've talked about this in the Zoom class. I'm just sending a video to reiterate and kind of revise the topics with you again. Now, the advantages to the home country, that means the country which you are leaving and going out of. Supposing you're leaving India and you're going to some other country, then what advantages will India face after you have left that country, the home country? The government will have less people to worry about. We will have reduced pressure on land. That means you will not build houses, you will not send your children to school, you will not ask for a lot of food to be grown for yourself and all that. Then you'll be less, since you are educated, you're skilled, obviously you'll look for a good job and there will be less competition for jobs. And when you come back to India to visit your family or just to spend a few months here, you'll bring in foreign exchange to our country, which will be good for economy of the country. So this will be the advantages your home country will be facing. Disadvantages, of course, will be we lose young population, which is the working population of our country, and that skilled young population, learned, knowledgeable, skilled young person goes out and starts working for some other country. So obviously we lose out on that. We lose on training and skilled professionals. Then this balance occurs between men and women sex ratio, and when you go out you leave your old parents behind, so the government has to take care of the old parent. The government becomes responsible for the elderly of your family rather than you being responsible for them. So the government has, though it has to feed less people, but then its responsibility also increases. Now, what advantages and disadvantages will the guest country have? Guest country means where you leave your own country and go to. So, that country's advantages will be they will overcome shortage of labor, they will get labor, plenty of labor, and they will get that labor cheap because the people who leave their own country and go out to the other countries, they're ready to work at a lower rate. So, because immigrants are ready to work at low wages, at low salaries, because it sounds good as compared to their own countries. Then that country gets trained professional, that country gets knowledge, that country gets training, it gets skills without spending any money and time over it, and you bring in cultural diversity into their country. Then disadvantages, since immigrants do not know the local language, so that becomes a problem sometimes. Then their resources are put under high pressure, and there in that country competition for job increases, and sometimes immigrants which are coming from poor or underdeveloped countries, they can bring in a lot of diseases to the developed countries, and therefore it puts a lot of pressure on the other countries' health services. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages of migration to the home country and to the guest country. Then we also spoke about the brain drain. This, I've given you a project also over this. So when loss of young people or young population who are educated and trained, when they go to the other countries, the home country faces loss of training, loss of skills, loss of education, loss of knowledge, and that means that country's brain is draining. It is drained, depleting, finishing. So that country receives a brain drain. But this causes a complete slowdown in the economic growth of the country, loss of taxes also for the government, because why economy is going down? Because there are less professionals and less knowledgeable people to work for that country. So obviously the economic growth of that country suffers, and when the economic growth of that country will suffer, the government will have to put down the rate of taxes, and therefore country will also lose out on the taxes. Now, every year, many professionals from India go to Europe, America, taking away the intellectual intellect from our country, and some other country benefits from it. Of course, we have trained, supposing India, you've gone to the college here, you've gone to the schools here, you've taken your training from India, and then you seek for a job in outside country. So whatever amount of money, time, effort has been spent on the young professionals of our country, the benefits are being reaped by some other country. So this is a brain drain for our country, but of course a brain gain for the other country. Though it has, all this is very negative to when we talk about it, because we see that we are losing out on young people, we are losing out on skills, we are losing out on knowledge, we are losing out on professionalism. But it has a positive impact too, because when we go to another country, we get to know and adopt various languages, customs, music of the other country. We imbibe, we learn, and we get to know about new things from though we cannot get to know through Google or through reading books. When we live in that scenario, when we live in that area, we learn a lot more than what you can learn from reading books. For example, you've heard about fusion music, you've heard about Indo-Western clothes. These are all a result of mixing of culture. People all around eat food of various countries, and English has become a universally accepted language. So all this is, they have positive impacts and they have negative impacts. Of course, brain drain is a loss, a big loss for a country which cannot be compensated by fusion music and Indo-Western and different cuisines. You stay in your country, you work for your country develops more. You learn here, you get trained here, you hone your skills here, and then you go out and work for some other country. It's a big loss for your own home country. So this was just a revision of what we discussed in the Zoom class. Watch it, and then I'll give you some written work after in the next session.